Good evening and welcome to Gator's Garage, home of all things Gator and historical gaming here in the Savannah area. Once again, you've got me and Randy coming to you from, virtually actually. I think Randy's over in Fitzgerald. I'm here in Savannah.
Yeah.
And this week, say hi to the folks from Mr. Randy.
Hello, everybody.
Um, so this week, Warlord dropped another third edition intelligence report. This one's really big because it affects the ever popular, sometimes hated, often neglected machine guns. And Randy, tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so this is something we thought was going to happen. The DACA Stewart, according to these new rules, is going to be a thing of the past. Of course, we still don't know what the shooting rules are and the points. So maybe if the points are changed, they might still be playable. But from the way it looks, they're going to become shelf candy. But the machine guns are going to kind of take their place. Yeah. So the biggest thing is the vehicle rules. A vehicle, even though we're getting more shots, they're going to be halved if you're shooting at infantry. The only way they're going to get full fire rate is against airplanes with flak, and nobody brings, air observers. Although that may change if they fix the broken rookie pilot rule to make them more playable. Maybe people will start bringing, you know, some airplanes. Pretty cool though, and you can put a Stuka or a P-51 on the table. It looks pretty intimidating.
Yeah, at this scale, air power is such a rare thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what I'm looking for.
And
Let me pull
really,
this
by
article up here.
D-Day, um, most of the Luftwaffe was kind of out of commission, so really wasn't a whole lot other than the Allied planes in the sky.
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen so I can pull the briefing up, and it is not cooperating.
Hmm.
My apologies, folks. We've had a heck of a lot of fun with we've had a heck of a lot of fun with our technology this evening. The browser has blocked the screen. That's pretty special. Might have something going on with the browser that's causing some of this stuff, Randy.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me. I want to bring it up on my phone, and then at least I'll have a reference so we can talk about it. Okay, where's it taking so long? There we go. Community articles. Okay. Yeah, so I've got it up on my phone anyway. We can talk a little bit about it. Um,
Yeah,
so they've got a weapons table. This is one of the changes. Is pistols are no longer going to get an assault rule. They are now just pretty useless. I don't think anybody will ever put a pistol on another model because it's 6 inch, one shot, nothing special about it. Um,
that's kind of surprising. You would think that you would definitely think that the oh um try this way. You would definitely think that the pistol, just like the submachine gun, should have that whole assault because that's both of them are designed to be used on the move.
yeah, yeah. Well, and so they're only giving assault to submachine guns and assault rifles. Um, which kind of makes sense because they put out a lot more firepower than the pistol.
Right. Yep.
Pistol, once you've expended your 9 rounds or whatever's in the magazine, you know, now it's a club. Whereas, and the rate of fire of a submachine gun is huge, and it usually has like a 30-round clip. So, in close combat, that could be devastating.
Ah, there we go.
Hey,
Don't mess with the tech guy. I got this.
all right, read more.
There we go. I just figured this gives us literally all on the same page.
Yep, it does.
What I am most excited about is just what I put in the headliner of the show: making machine guns great again. So you got the pistol change, which is a down, and yeah, your DACA Stewart's getting boned a little bit. Uh, and other than and I'll be right honest, other than in bolt action, I've not used the a Stewart as such. I remember looking at a readout on it in one of the Ballantine books, and I was just stunned because it was like 10 machine guns. I'm like, that can't be right. But yeah, it had
Yeah,
that many, and so
yeah,
yeah, it definitely should definitely is going to still have a place. I would like to address the halving of the firepower, and I know our group had a really good discussion on that.
yeah,
Um, at, do what?
yeah. So basically, the reason the vehicles are getting half fire rate is because of the inaccuracy of a vehicle trying to shoot at infantry. Um,
Right,
yeah,
and 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 I can benchmark that. I know again, you guys will hear me and have heard me reference the game that I consider to be the benchmark, and that's Squad Leader. In its later versions of both Squad Leader and an Advanced Squad Leader, you can have a two firepower machine gun on a half track, and then if you dismount it, it's a four firepower machine gun.
yeah,
So I think maybe they're looking a little bit more accurately at this. Uh, Certainly, firing on the move with a machine gun is definitely a challenge. So
yeah,
I think some modifications there are good. It's gonna nerf armor overall when it comes to machine gun firepower.
yep,
We'll have to see how that plays out. I know in Flames of War, vehicle mounted machine guns are an absolute terror, and even on the move, many of them get the same type of firepower sitting still, and they'll tear infantry up in a heartbeat.
yeah,
And sometimes too, like we say about this game, it is we should try and simulate reality, and reality is machine guns on tanks were bad business, and that's originally what tanks were designed to carry. Actually, was machine guns to deal with infantry, and then somebody got the brilliant idea that you needed cannons to knock down strong points, and then oh hey, here you go, let's use cannons against enemy tanks. Uh, the next big change that I think is really awesome is the exceptional damage. I'm a little upset to lose the small teams,
yeah,
uh, but I think dumping the exceptional damage, especially in terms of snipers, should make the machine gun and all other teams a lot more effective. I mean,
yeah. Your machine gun before nobody would bring it, so now they're getting an extra shot, and they no longer have to fear the sniper, which was the
right?
biggest problem. Yeah, they
Yeah,
probably still are gonna not be able to move and fire, um, but we don't know what the shooting rules are going to be yet. But
I don't
clearly,
think machine guns can move and fire now. The big mediums,
no, they can't. They can't, and I don't think that's going to
right?
change. I wouldn't expect
It
it because
shouldn't,
it's a tripod. It's
right?
designed to. That's why it gets such a rate of fire because it's solidly mounted. It's not like
Yep.
you're just running around with it, and you can't just pick it up and move it.
Yeah.
It's got to be
Well, it's
disassembled.
kind of interesting. I don't know how much you study this, but I know it's one of the things they talked about in Squad Leader in terms of machine guns. The British Vickers tripod mounted water cooled machine gun. Got to have it set up. Americans with Ma
Mhm.
Deuce, the 50 cal, and I'm wondering if the 50 cal is going to keep their +1 I hope it does because it really should.
Yeah,
it
I
is
think
truly an armor piercing weapon.
if you look at the graphic on that Greyhound on that starter kit,
Yeah.
it shows a +1 penetration. Um,
Okay.
and so the biggest thing now going forward, especially for Americans, is if they're the only ones that can have these heavy machine gun teams, that may be the new thing to go with because not only does it carry 6 shots, it's +1 penetration, but they've also increased the range to 48 inches.
Which I think that's a fantastic. Again,
Yeah,
first time I looked at the machine guns in bolt action, I really was disappointed that the heavy didn't outrange the medium because it really should.
yeah. So, and it's also a four-man team now. So even though it's 20 points more, you're getting an extra guy, you're getting more range, you're getting penetration. So they're going to be a terror to armored cars and soft skins, really.
Yeah.
Think about six
Well,
shots hitting a truck,
right.
with +1. You're probably, and at 48, so you're going to be out 24 at short range. So you're likely going to take out a truck when you shoot at it.
48, you're reaching all the way across the board from turn one.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know. I think, yeah, the American 50 cal is the only one that gets a +1. Historically, the Russian 12-7 should also get a +1, but I don't know if they'll get that granular.
yeah,
And also, the German MG 42, um, interestingly enough, the difference between the light, medium, and heavy German machine guns had to do with tripod mounting and amount of ammunition available. It was all essentially the same gun.
same gun.
So I'd love to see a rule, and we might even house rule it, that a German medium machine gun team can move and fire as a light machine gun because historically they could. So that's just kind of interesting.
Yeah,
So
and
again,
their extra
go
shot
ahead.
too. We don't know how that's going to play out. Are they going to give them an extra shot after you half it, or so we just don't know what the national special rules still haven't come out, so we have no idea what's going to happen there.
Right, and they may leave them the same. They may tweak them. I know in terms of like some of the groups that got extra squads, I don't think anybody begrudged the Russians their extra green squad, but when you started adding them in for the Japanese and the British, and honestly, armies that historically did not have access to deep manpower pools.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, by 44, I think Britain was starting to consolidate some of their infantry divisions because they just couldn't bring any more manpower to bear. And I don't know if they just didn't want to bring if their Indian troops were just thin on the ground because I would have thought India would have had plenty of bodies for them to throw at it. But anyway, so Britain was running thin on troops, thin on infantry units in Northwest Europe by 44, 45. And of course, the Japanese, fierce enough, but no, they're not going to have they're not going to have piles and piles of bodies to throw at you.
yeah,
I mean, unless you just really, maybe if you're maybe even in China, and maybe if you maybe on the island, but again, I'm sure there'll be some tweaks there.
yeah. So
Uh,
the exceptional
Go ahead.
damage rule is going away, and
Yes.
that's not only going to protect your machine guns and mortars. I think you'll see a lot more mortars now, but also your embedded weapons and your officers and NCOs. They can no longer take them off the board as a casualty. Um, and something somebody pointed out today I read, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a meta gaming technique, but say you have a squad that's daisy chained, maybe even on an objective, and you get exceptional damage. If you pick a model that's either touching the objective or even one that's in the middle, their next move they have to move. So they'll suffer a -1 to shoot. Whereas if you took one off the end, they wouldn't necessarily have to move to shoot. But if you disturb that cohesiveness of the unit, the next time they go to fire, it's going to be at a -1 because they have to move.
Yeah. They're going to have to do something to leave the sniper relevant, though. I
Yeah,
can see
I
them
don't
doing.
know. Maybe extra pins. I don't know what they're planning on doing with the sniper.
Yeah.
If they don't, nobody's going to bring a sniper because
Yeah.
it's only going to
Yeah,
be worth putting a pin on something. That's all it's going to do.
and it may be that they're going to take away the whole. If you kill the gunner, the gun's dead. Because I mean, this is the only game I've ever played where they do that.
Yeah,
Any other game I've ever played,
everybody
if you've got
complains
a
about
machine gun that's a separate team, another team member takes over. If it's the light machine gun in the squad, at least the assistant gunner picks it up and keeps rolling with it. So, um, to your point, for snipers to be relevant, they've really got to be able to do what they historically did, and that is pick off key people. To your point, that guy in the middle of the group that'll make the group have to move. The officer, the sergeant, to kind of pin down the squad because that's what squad snipers did. So
it. Yeah.
it'll be real interesting to see how snipers and what it may be that instead of exceptional damage, it may be that snipers are the only ones that can do that now. So
Now,
that'll be
I think they were. It's gone. Exceptional damage is no longer a thing, and I think they're trying to streamline the combat so you don't have so many different roles for things. But
yeah,
what they'll have to do with snipers, I think, is have to make them cheaper. If they're not going to get exceptional damage, if they're just talking about, I can see them still hitting as easily as they normally do. Um, but maybe they're just 50 points. Nobody's going to bring them just to put a pin on something and maybe
right,
kill one guy. That is just not worth it. But if
yeah.
if they're 35 points, then that's maybe doable.
Well, and they won't be small team anymore either, unless you just
No,
have a
so
special
they
rule
can
that
die real easy. So you're going to have to want to bring them
right,
veteran instead of regular. You know.
yeah. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to completely rewrite the sniper rules if you that the exceptional damage I think needed tweaking. I
Yeah.
don't know that it necessarily needed to be thrown out. Uh, I think the simple thing that needed to be done is you needed not to lose a machine gun if you lost it to exceptional damage from a from infantry fire.
Yeah, and I could see a mortar round or an artillery
Right.
shell destroying a machine gun. But
My favorite game. That's the way it works. In squad leader, it's the way it works. If
yeah,
you can't lose a heavy weapon unless HE is involved.
yeah.
So anyway, I'll be curious. That they haven't told us they're gonna have to do something to make those snipers sexy again. Whether they now from my view, I keep the snipers with an because they can conceal. I would say snipers should get the old small team benefit of +1 to hit.
Well,
Um,
if
and then
if they're doing
they're
away
gonna
with the small teams, uh, all your like bazookas and
right.
they're going to have to be veteran. No, you're not going to be able to bring them anything less because they're just going to be too easy to kill off.
Yeah. Frankly, I wish they'd let you embed those small teams into the squads. I think that'd be more accurate.
Yeah,
I would almost take the small teams out completely and
yeah.
just embed
See,
them into
like
the squads,
typically,
except for snipers.
it's an infantry game,
Yep.
and they're kind of getting to where this is more historic, where you have an artillery platoon and you have a tank platoon that's accompanied
Yeah.
by an infantry platoon. But the TO&E, a lot of times they'll bring weapons that they wouldn't normally have. They might be able to get access to something, or you know, a light mortar is probably really common in an infantry platoon, and I think
Yep.
that's why they're taking the medium mortar away and moving it to a heavy weapons platoon.
Well, and that's where a medium mortar would normally reside
Yeah,
is with your heavy weapons platoon in just about all the armies.
I think they need to
Um,
make the light mortar a little more punchy somehow. I don't know. It's 1 inch HE. It doesn't do a lot.
no, the light mortar benefits what the light mortar is especially good for is smoke,
Yeah.
and that's I think we found maybe that was you and I that were tossing smoke all over the table with our light mortars.
Well,
I think we found that was
yeah,
a really effective use for that.
it's useful. It's also good for digging out spotters because spotters are
Yeah.
really hard to hit. Um, so you're ranging in on them. So you're eventually going to take them out, because you only need one
Right.
hit and they're gone. But so we don't know about shooting, and I think next week they're going to be talking about shooting. So we don't know how the Super Sixes are going to pan out in the new version. Is that going away?
Right.
Um, so that can make a huge difference in how you hit, because this cover save
Yep.
thing that they're talking about, we have no idea how that works either. So it might be easier to get a hit, but it's kind of like black powder where you get that hit, but the other player gets to save that to where you don't take a wound. I don't know. That's what it seems like. And I think
I'm looking for this whole cover save thing that you're talking
it's
about. Was that in
yeah,
last week's update?
it was, and it's not. They didn't talk about it, so I don't know if that's something we're gonna have to wait till we get the rule book to find out, because
Yeah.
it wasn't in any of the five releases that they're talking about, unless they come out with it
Okay.
after that. Because I think we
Right.
still have a few more weeks before the book comes out.
Yeah. They're definitely whetting everybody's appetite.
I'm kind of disappointed that you don't see an increased firepower of the automatic rifle. Um, I just think the Browning, the BAR, has a pretty good rate of fire. It should have garnered at least a little bit more firepower.
Well, I think the Browning they give them that 30 inches. What I am disappointed in that sub should have went from 2 to 3. Um,
Yeah,
uh, uh,
submachine guns have an enormous
yeah,
rate of fire,
yeah, it should
al-
definitely be 3.
although
Um,
terribly inaccurate.
yeah, but that's built in because if you're over 6 inches, you get the
Yeah,
+1 modifier
short
for
range.
range.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that should have been rated fire 3.
The assault rifle, you can see it goes out to a little more range,
18.
18 inches. So
Yeah,
and they have a little longer barrel, so they're a little more accurate. Some of them even had
right. Well,
open scopes. They weren't really a
yep,
magnified scope. They were just like a sighting
right.
scope.
Yeah. So yeah, I actually think yeah, I mean, you know, we start poking at things. There's, everything we would come up with would probably be more granular. I mean, the assault rifle really should be like 2, 3. You know,
Yeah,
uh, firepower 2 out to 18 inches, firepower 3 out to 9. It can go to fully automatic, but nobody wants to. Again, they're trying to streamline.
yeah,
Um, but I think at the end of the day, so far what we're seeing, it's going to make the game flow smoother. Um, some of the things I think are going to they're I'm a little concerned that they're dialing down the power of the tanks as far as machine gun platforms. Um, but they're not taking it all away either, so that may be good. And to your point, the unrealistic thing of people running so many soft skins with machine guns, um, which some groups did. LRDG did. The Russians
yeah,
did a lot with armed trucks. But most people, if they were putting machine guns in combat, they were on the back of some type of armored vehicle or fast vehicle, a Jeep, something quick, and cheap.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
so,
see, that's
you know,
something else too. Those type vehicles, they were made for suppression, not for casualties. So it would be nice if they, okay, we're going to half the rate of fire against infantry, but we're going to give you 2 pins instead. You know, if you get a
yeah,
hit.
or at least one,
Yeah,
just like you do with the 1 inch HE, I think gives you a pin. Yeah,
plus
that
a
would have been
pin too.
helpful.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
that's
I
what
can,
you're
I can,
trying to do.
I,
You're trying to pin somebody down. You're not trying to wound them. You're just spraying bullets over the top of them to make them
yep,
duck down.
make them keep their heads down.
Yeah,
Excuse me, keep their heads down. Okay, so that's I think this is week 2.
yeah.
And
Only two
so,
in. So
yep.
next week
So
will
we're
be
gonna,
really big.
yep. Next week we've got another one dropping on Wednesday again, and we'll do our intel brief either on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how busy everybody is.
Yeah,
So there is that. Now, in the meantime, version 2 continues.
yep.
I know there is a tournament at Huracan.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
is a tournament at NashCon.
yeah, yeah.
There's also some. We're in Georgia, so there's some regional tournaments going on in Florida. Some of the stores down there. So version 2 is certainly getting lots and lots of love.
Yeah, there's a
And so I would
tournament in
go ahead.
Columbus on the 11th of August.
Okay.
So I'm going to be
That's
going to that
Columbus,
one.
Georgia.
Yeah, yeah.
Do they have that posted to social media?
Yeah, it's on Facebook. Yeah, so
I've
it's
not seen it in
Moxie
our group,
Games.
or have I?
I
Have you posted
will,
that to our group?
I think I'll do that. I think you've got their group.
Yeah,
I think you're in their group.
I probably am. I'm everywhere. You know that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I always like to let other people get some of that press coverage. And yeah, if it's August 11th, we probably want to share it to our group about once a week. But all that to be said to our viewers, all that to be said that the version 2 is still in motion. And with that in mind, Randy has, and let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Randy has a couple of lists he wanted to review with us.
Yep.
So, Randy, I'm going to go ahead and put the first list up here.
Okay.
And viewers, you're going to want to go to full screen on this,
Yeah, so you
which
can
will make
see
it a
it.
little bit easier to see.
Okay,
And
so
I'm going to pull this so I'm actually looking at you guys. Hang on just a
yep.
minute. And go here. Again, if this is Gator's Garage, the roughly once a week podcast of Gator Games and Books covering historical gaming in Georgia and Savannah. And I'm your host, Mike Baker, the Gator, and our guest tonight is Randy Yan, uh, local and regional tournament winner, and all around good guy and friend of Mike.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so this first list, I'm gonna let you kind of go over it. This is the team, one of my team lists that I'm taking to Huracan. We're having a charity event on Thursday, I believe it is. Um,
Okay,
so it's 1,000 points, 14 order dice max. Of course, I'm
nice.
bringing Gurkhas. So yeah. So what
Of
do you
course,
think,
you're
Mike?
bringing Gurkhas.
Yeah. Got to get the last little bit out of them before they take them away from us.
Ah, look at you, man!
Yeah.
You got a Gurkha platoon basically going on.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. The second lieutenant, basically, two 10-man Gurkha squads because I like the full strength. It allows me multiple assaults. Plus, I can re-roll getting out of the vehicle, um, which is helpful. Or if I want to outflank them, I can do that. I can re-roll an outflank, and pretty sure they're going to come on.
That's a good list here, Randy. I see you got your ever popular, ever fun free forward artillery observer
Yeah, got
that
to
makes
have that.
British armies feared the world round.
Yep.
Um, Heavy mortar team, so
Yeah. So
which is
heavy mortar.
really OP for this scale.
I brought the heavy mortar mainly because it's got a +3 penetration. Um,
Yes.
and then, of course, you're hitting top armor if you're hitting a tank or something. So it has a
Yep.
real chance of knocking a tank out, whereas a medium mortar is pretty much
Nope.
infantry oriented as far as knocking stuff out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The ever popular sniper team, which you're gonna, I'm sure, get quite useful use out of picking off machine gun teams and NCOs.
Yeah. Yeah. At least for now, anyway, right?
Yeah. Yeah. At least for now.
Yep.
Um, Now it says sniper with rifle and pistol. Okay. It says the spotter has a pistol. Did you model your spotter with a pistol or with a rifle?
Well, see, that's something we talked about at the last event, and the spotter is not supposed to have a rifle unless you pay for it. I think there's a
Okay.
spot in there where you can click on it, but
Yeah.
so that makes a difference. So both guys can't shoot out rifle shots if they're, say, you're inside of, or they're moving. Let's say they want to move and shoot. Of course, you can't use the sniper rule, but you know, both guys typically before I thought, well, I can shoot two rifle shots, but no, you can't do that unless you buy the rifle.
And is that a recent change?
No, it's just something I think people overlook. Yeah, because I've
I
had
would
that
be
done
like,
to me before. I've had two
yeah,
shots fired at me. I'm like, Okay. I didn't think nothing of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either because especially if the models are modeled with rifles. So,
Yeah.
but if
So
I'm running a sniper team, I'm definitely going to run both
yeah.
rifles on both guys.
Well, and I
And,
think one of the, I don't know if it's the American sniper kit from Warlord. Both guys have sniper rifles.
interesting.
Yeah, and the one guy's
Yeah,
not shooting, but the other guy's, he's got it, and he's got like the binoculars or whatever in his hand as well. He's got the rifle like under his arm. So I'm like, well, okay,
okay. I think the British team has two snipers in it as well.
yeah,
So it's kind of
yeah, they do.
kind
I
of
remember
funky that
that
way.
one. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I've
and
split them apart and put two guys with binoculars with them and created two sniper teams out of one kit.
why not? I mean, and that's the whole thing. It's one of the nice things about historical miniature gaming. Um, they're your guys. You can model them, how you need them. I mean, I think most people are going to be like, you know, nobody wants to see you show up with pink painted Panzer Grenadiers, mind you.
Don't
But
get me started on the pink.
and don't laugh because I actually saw a guy that did an Italian force in red, and I was like, really? But
Yeah,
you can take and use the models the way you see fit. I think the U.S. infantry team actually comes with a sniper model, so you can build a sniper team right out the box, which is
yeah.
pretty handy. I see your new favorites on there. That boy's and a tank rifle.
I'm really getting to like that thing. So
It's yeah. I
it's probably going
I'm
to get
with
a
you.
lot of use in the new system too. I can see that really becoming good. Of course, you're going to lose that small team. So, but I'm bringing
Right,
them
but
veteran. I think it just makes them a little more survivable, and you want to get them
yep,
up there in the action.
yeah, yeah. That +2 pen, you can terrorize just about any of the light vehicles.
Yeah, and
And God help
you want to get it
any guy
within
you hit.
18.
What's that?
Yeah, you want to get it within 18, so you get that full +2, which it makes a difference as far as knocking out an armored car.
Sure, sure. Also good for punching people out of buildings.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's not a bad all around weapon for 40 points. I've got one in my force. My North Africa guys came with both the light mortar and the ATR, and I'm like you. I like it. It's something different. The British are historically light on an tank anyway.
yeah. So you got to take
Pyatt is
something.
nice. I've not looked at the Pyatt stats in bolt action, but I know in Flames of War, it's just like it's not quite useless, but it's if it hits, it's good, but it's getting in range to make that hit with that spring launched bomb. So
Well, yeah. See with the Piat, if you got to get within 12,
wait,
and
that's a fast range.
yeah, well, it's also you're getting dangerously close to point blank range from. You're trying to shoot a tank that's probably got a lot of machine guns on it, and if you miss, guess what's happening to you?
You were a hamburger. So all right, got the light howitzer.
Yep.
Again, I've got one of those now for my Germans that I'm building out. The classic 7.5 centimeter infantry support gun.
So the
So good
British
choice on that.
is so much better. 25 pounder, it fires a +4 AP shell, and in addition to the 2-inch HE, so it's a dual purpose gun.
And that's the light howitzer.
Yeah, it's one of the few that do it. I think there's a couple other armies that have a dual purpose gun.
Right.
But yeah,
25 is most places will rate it as a medium, not a
yeah,
light.
yeah. So
Because that's
it
what
can
my
knock out a tank too.
yeah
+4 shell.
yeah yeah light howitzer. I'd have to check and see that. I don't quite disagree that a 25 pounder is a light howitzer. That seems
Yeah,
a little crazy talk. But
yeah,
hey, it's the game. So
yeah.
next page.
Yeah.
There you go.
So moving on, PPA flamethrower Jeep. What do you think of that, Mike?
I see a nice target for my anti-tank rifle.
Yeah, definitely want to take that out. But this is kind of one of those vehicles you got to keep kind of back, and then
Yep.
opportunity to jump out and then hit them. The only
Yeah.
downside, it only gets 6-inch flamethrower instead of 12-inch.
Oh. I
Yeah.
wonder why they went with a shorter range. Most vehicle-mounted flamethrowers are given a longer range.
Well, I don't know if it's because the size of the vehicle, they couldn't build up the pressure they needed, or they carried enough fuel
Yeah,
to spray it
but
out
that's
that
okay.
far. Yeah.
6 inches. Come into my
That's all you
parlor,
need.
said the
That's all you
spider to the
need.
fly.
Yep.
So, but he can fire on the move, and it's a Jeep which
Yeah.
moves 18,
It moves 12.
no,
So you can make
12.
if you're on a road, now you're talking
Oh,
24
you're
inches, and
yeah,
still
you're all
move.
over the map.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or you could outflank it. So it's a veteran vehicle. So
Yeah,
you could put an outflank and come in and catch a tank by surprise.
or catch some unlucky artillery gun by surprise.
Yep.
So, wow. I did that the other night playing a game. I rolled up the side of somebody's artillery battery and just literally overran them with my tanks. Said crunch, crunch, crunch. Wonder where I got that idea.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it worked out pretty good. So, you got a couple trucks there, and I guess they
Yeah.
would carry some of your Gurkhas
Yeah. So
or the
they're
howitzer.
10-man capacity. So my full strength squads will begin in these trucks. And then I brought the MGs because I don't have a steward in this list again. If you notice,
It's
no
true.
steward. Yeah, I got a Bofors AA truck, and so I just it's good against armored cars. And at 1,000 points, I don't think I'll see many big tanks. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, the Bofors AA trucks are always good for what ails you. Good for dealing with tanks, good for dealing with infantry. So,
This is
good for dealing
another
with light armor.
vehicle that can outflank. I even thought about bringing it veteran because it's only 12 points more, and then
Yeah.
you outflank it, and all of a sudden you're coming on the board catching tanks in the rear, and you can kill any tank with a +3 in the rear.
Yeah, and you're getting 2 shots.
Yeah, 2 shots.
Pretty nice. Okay, very good. All right, let's
So
see here. You want to put that other one up?
yeah, let me see here. I do that. Exit the screen, and that one.
So, folks, as always, if you got questions, put them in the chat below. If you got comments on the army list, because I know how it is. 3 gamers, 4 opinions. So, you got comments on the army list or on our brief on the intel, we'd love to hear. If you'd like to see us do something specific in terms of version 2 or version 3, let us know. Randy, let me give you a hand there.
Yeah, let's you bring it up. Okay.
There you go.
So this list come to me from David Surkamp. He's also bringing this. This is his list for the Huracan Team charity event. Let's see, I'll bring this up full screen. There we go. All right. So he has a Romanian army. I didn't even know he had. Of course, I think he said he has just about every army there is. So, 14 order dice, 997 points. Kind of like to spend all those points. Seemed like could have found a submachine gun or something somewhere to put those 3 points in.
Yeah, look at his list here. So he's running an early war Italy, I guess.
No, it's Romanian.
Romanians. Okay, armies
Romanian
of Italy and
reinforcements.
Axis. I
Yeah.
don't know what their TO&E is, but I'm with you. I'm throwing a submachine gun into one of these squads, unless the Romanians don't have them, which is a
Well,
possibility.
it's possible. So
Well, they
the
got them
first
because the
squad.
second lieutenant can have one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I think they got to have them. I haven't looked at the build for the Romanians, but so his first squad is a skirmish squad, 7-man rifles, perfect size for skirmish. I like that. Then he's got a combat pioneer section with a flamethrower, 7-man. I think this is where I probably would have put a submachine gun
Yep,
because
or two.
you're gonna be close. Yeah, I might even
Yeah,
added several submachine guns in this squad, but
yeah.
certainly can't go wrong with an engineer squad. Okay, so now he gets a free medium artillery. Wow, just like the French.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
just thinking that they do that with. There's a couple 3 army lists they do that with.
I would love to have. I would probably trade that observer for a free medium howitzer any day.
I
You
hear you.
get you use it every round instead of just once a game.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So tanks. So this is an interesting choice.
Or
It's
two.
a TACM R2 tank destroyer. So it has a medium anti-tank gun. It is only 7 armor, but it is also a dual-purpose gun. So it
Yeah.
has a 2-inch. It can fire 2-inch HE, or it can fire the +5 armor
Looks
penetrating.
like it's 1 inch HE, and so that's the same gun the Soviets use
Yeah,
as a dual purpose gun.
yeah. So what it is, all right. So if you're firing the AP shell, that's a 1-inch uh, HE. But if you do the dual purpose, if you read down at the bottom, um, it'll
Okay.
tell you that they get a 2-inch. You can fire a 2-inch HE shell. What you have to do, you have to say, okay, I'm firing this one or I'm firing that one. Before.
Roger that.
Yeah. Okay. So he's got another platoon, another inexperienced officer, and another 7-man rifle squad, another skirmish squad. Okay, and
Looks
then
like he mirrored them.
he did. Looks very similar. Actually, it's almost
Yeah.
identical, other than the free. So he's got another engineer squad, and then another tank destroyer. And I see another platoon down there. So he's got 3 platoons. Another officer. It's an awful lot of officers. Um, Snipers have a field day with that.
Yeah.
Uh, so here we have just rifle squads. So 2 more skirmish squads. I guess 8-man in the second one, because he probably just had some points to spend. Maybe should have used those 10 points for submachine guns in his engineer squad, I think.
You know what else is lacking is light machine guns.
Yeah, so, okay, so really the light machine guns are not good for tournament play. And maybe that'll change. That probably will change in the new version, but they're not worth the 20 points. So you're not going to,
Yeah.
with a skirmish squad, you're not going to kill a unit. You're really only looking to put a pin out and maybe take a couple guys out. Um,
Right.
so if you can have multiple skirmish squads, the more skirmish squads you have, the better, rather than fewer with the light machine guns in them.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah,
certainly by fielding 3 platoons, he can field. He's gonna have 3 tanks on the board, which
3 tanks.
nobody's gonna have that.
Yeah, so he's got 3 tanks, 3 medium,
Right.
and then another. He's got a truck down here. Doesn't look like it has a weapon on it. It's just a 12-man transport. Got it
Yep.
at veteran. So I'm thinking what's going to happen here is one of those engine. So his engineer squads, I think he should have made them 6-man, uh, and then he could have put both of them in this truck, but they're 7-man. So maybe he's just going to put one in here and outflank it, and then maybe the other one's going to foot slog
Hmm.
it.
Good point.
That's
Yeah.
why he's got the truck at veteran, so he can make that outflank move.
Yeah.
Um,
There's
yeah,
one more slide, but I think that's just the notes. Yeah.
yeah, the notes. So you can see that this 3 divisional gun may fire either a medium anti-tank or as a light howitzer. So that's where it gets that +2, or that 2-inch HE is the light howitzer part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see, what was it? Yeah. Okay. So pretty good list. What do you think,
Yeah.
Mike?
Um, Not my flavor. I
Yeah.
tend to go more traditional, but I've never ran Romanians. I mean, He's
Well,
definitely playing to their strengths. I don't like inexperienced officers, never have. I would at least I like to have them at regular. Although
well,
if you
you
did that,
just got to
go
keep them
ahead.
out of the line of fire. They're a liability.
Right,
So pretty much you don't want to put more points into them. Um, but what I do like is the use of the three anti-tank guns, medium guns, or you have three light howitzers.
right,
So he can either have a bunch of HE depending on his needs, or he can have a bunch of medium anti-tank guns.
right. Yeah. Plus, he's got that free medium howitzer too that can put down
Yeah,
fire.
so he's got quite a
So
bit of
that's
HE here.
yeah. And there's or smoke. Can also fire smoke. I think
Yeah.
doesn't say that. Maybe not. A lot of HE though.
So
And as you were saying, a lot of rifle shots are not to be sneezed at.
yeah, and what I see in this list is a friend of his had a list at Recon that was three platoons. Although it was 1,250 points, he had three Chaffies. So the Chaffies kind of
Wow.
have a similar, because they fired that 75 millimeter gun. They get 2-inch HE and a +5 armor penetrating shell.
Okay.
And then he had three platoons. And then he had a lot of little small, he had a couple engineer squads and some small infantry squads.
Mm,
So this kind of looks like his list. Although that was an American list, this is Romanian. This is kind of a Romanian version of that list. I
right.
struggled against this list horribly at
Okay.
Recon because I had very little armor penetrating stuff. I had a Stewart, which wasn't really capable of knocking out a Chaffee, although I did manage to get a rear shot on one of them
Right.
and killed one. But with a Piat, that was the only other thing I had, and I couldn't even get close to these Chaffies. They were just like
No.
rolling forward in threes, and you get in front of them, you're going to get hosed.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, he was running kind of like almost a new style army list. He had a platoon of armor
Yeah,
and a
if
platoon
you
of
separate,
three
yeah, if you
platoons of infantry.
right, if you separated this and you brought the three tanks into a platoon and all the infantry in a platoon, and that's about how many officers you'd have. You got some artillery and all, and
Right.
engineers. So you got two engineers. That's going to be something that's really going to be different in the new one, because now you can't just throw a flamethrower in a squad, or in a platoon. You have to have an engineer platoon to bring a flamethrower, unless you do it in
And
the
that
armor.
makes sense.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
armor, you'll still be able to bring flamethrowers, tanks, and I could bring 5 PPA jeeps. I like that.
You're going to have to with that
I
half
may have to build
firepower.
a few more of those. Can you imagine that running across the board? Or 5 wasps? Imagine that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That
So
would be a nightmare.
that's only 500 points, and 5 wasps would clear the board.
Do
Yeah.
they have both the Bren gun and the flamethrower?
Yeah, they do. You can add a Pintle Bren, but
Oi.
with the machine gun rules now, so the 4 would go down to 2. I don't know if it'd be worth bringing the gun. Um,
Yeah.
I added it because, if the flamethrower runs out, now you at least you still got something that can shoot. You don't have just,
Right.
yeah. But if
Yeah.
it's only going to get 2 shots, it may not be worth bringing. It might be just, well,
Yeah.
it's a flamethrower tank. If it runs out of fuel, at least I don't lose the dice. I'll go ram an artillery piece or something. I don't know, do something with it.
Like I
or
say, I
or
think we've seen that happen.
it's hard cover.
Right.
That's you can always use it for hard cover. Run your infantry behind it.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
many squads will come up to you with you running behind a flamethrower tank. They're going to be leery of getting up close. They're going to run away.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, the last segment of the show, I kind of wanted to cover something our club's doing here. As the slide says, machine guns and pirates.
Hmm.
People might say, machine guns and pirates, what's that got to do with anything, Mike? Well,
Arr.
we run themes each month in our gaming club, and this month's theme is pirates. Randy, you don't have any pirate games yet, do
No. Well, I've got a Pirates of the Caribbean game, but it's just a board game.
you? It doesn't count.
That doesn't count. Not
Doesn't
miniature
count.
gaming.
Yeah, that's right. It's not miniatures and it's not a war game.
Well, I've
So,
got, yeah.
the,
So
of course, most people today, when they think of pirates, Blood and Plunder is going to be it. 28 millimeter Blood and Plunder. And they've currently got a starter kit called Blackbeard versus Manyard. That's a really good price. They're also coming out with a Kickstarter Tortuga, I think. Anyway, it's set in one of the cities.
mm,
So Blood and Plunder came out Saints, I think about 5-6 years ago, maybe 10. And I
yeah.
remember I really put a lot of promo work into them because I was just so pleased to see Pirates getting kind of the mainline treatment. And it's a great game. We're going to be showing it this Friday at a live church at 7. If anyone wants to come by and take a look. Also, Firelock Games is a game called Oak and Iron, and it's naval battles in the age of piracy. So it's not the classic age of sail, but the century before, kind of the 1600s. Quite honestly, when the Dutch were still kind of a power. Man, do you play sailing ship games, or you
You know
avoid them,
what?
or you just haven't had a chance?
So yeah, I had that one that I bought. I think I got it. Uh, Actually, I think I got it at a thrift store, and it had a bunch of broken ships, and
Oui.
I think I remember telling you about it, but I ended up selling it. Just I
Mm,
put it on eBay and liquidated it.
yeah,
It was just
eBay is good for thinning down the collection. Let me tell you.
yeah,
So again, you can't talk sailing ships and pirates and not talk Black Seas. So we're gonna have Black Seas out there. You can get the frigates and brigs flotilla directly from me. You can also buy the starter kit, which comes with everything you need to play. But that's I'm hoping to put that on as a second, really a beer and pretzels take on sailing combat, and it's usually when I put it on the table, folks really enjoy it. I was actually reviewing the rules to it tonight, hoping to get that one on the table. It's a little bit bigger scale than the Oak and Iron. It comes in at 1/700, but they've got everything. Constitution, uh, HMS Victory, you name it. It's going to be covered in this particular series.
So how do you record damage and stuff when you shoot? Because these, obviously they didn't destroy a ship in one shot like modern vessels can do. But
Right. So these use a damage tracking card. If you've played Cruel Seas, you'll be kind of familiar with it. Or if you've played Victory at Sea, they all use a very similar mechanic. That the card has a couple of sliders on it that go up, that go down as your ship takes hull damage.
yeah,
When you get to zero hull, well, your ship's gone. And in the meantime,
uh,
things can go sideways on you. You can have broken spars, you can lose crew, you
uh,
can have guns knocked out. So everything
rudder
everything takes place
control,
on the card. What's that?
rudder control possibly. You can't steer it anymore.
Maybe, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the and everything initiative all pivots on who has the wind gauge. So wind
mm,
gauge is whoever's upwind. Because if
yeah.
you're upwind, you can literally set the terms of the engagement.
So
The other
that's
guy
a
has to fight
that's a
upwind to get
mechanic
to you.
different. I think Cruel Seas is modern ships, isn't it? Because we played
Rule
that.
C's is motor torpedo boats. Yeah,
Yeah.
and as we say, they're all fun. I mean, anytime I play one, I want to. When can we play again? And this one's no exception. The ships do tend to move pretty quick for sailing vessels for this time period, but like you say, it's a good beer and pretzels game. And you can take the miniatures and plug them into another sailing set of rules if you got those. So it's a win-win. Same thing with the Oak and Iron. Again, it's more 17th century, where these are more 18th century. But
uh,
sailing ships and pirates, what's not to love, right?
yeah.
And then we go into outer space with Starfleet Battles Law and Order. I'll probably have this with me Friday just to kind of show it. Comes with a Federation command cruiser and an Orion cruiser, big battle map, and the cadet training handbook. Cadet rules for Starfleet battles are incredibly approachable. They could be everything from just run and gun, blow stuff up, to sit in the captain's chair, allocate your energy, and reinforce your shield. So it's kind of, it's a game I've been playing for 40 years.
We played this
Hasn't
one
changed.
before.
Do what, Randy?
So we played this one before. This is fun. Got to watch out
Yeah,
for those asteroids.
yeah. And yeah, asteroids. Depending on how fast your ship is going,
How
and
fast
or
you're
how or
going.
whatever, and what is turn mode, asteroids can ruin your day.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know. So yeah, it's a great game. So you know, just kind of wanted to touch. With this coming up this week in the club, I kind of want to talk about what we're going to be playing at the club and just some other things. If you think about pirates, there's a few things to think about. Um, Starfleet battles, Black Seas, Oak and Iron are all pretty much ship games. Blood and Plunder is both a land and a ship game, and plays good either way. So if you get a chance to look at them on our website, it's definitely worth a look. If you get a chance to come by Friday and play, we'd love to see you guys, and be watching for us to show this at some of the cons and stuff that we go to. We're always looking for something kind of different to show that other folks aren't, just to give gamers more of an opportunity. Randy, any comments? Anything else?
No, I know. Kind of anxious to hear about the autocannons too in bolt action. See what they do.
Right.
They may
Auto
be.
cannons and black powder. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, they have them actually. They have the Gatling gun in black powder,
Yeah,
and you can later periods you can take it. And I think they may have the Nerdfelter machine gun, the early version of the machine gun. So, or whatever it was called, nine felter. Anyway, so yeah,
imagine what that would do to your
auto
sailing mass.
autocannons and black powder. Lord help us all. So we hope you folks have enjoyed this. Again, we are excited about the new third edition that's dropping. It's going to fix some changes that have bothered us for a bit. Some folks are going to have to adjust downward. Some folks are going to get to adjust upward. As always, bolt action I think is going to remain a competitive part of the gaming scene and worth playing, whether it's tournament play, league play, or story driven scenario play. Bolt action is going to be good. And pirate games, looking for something different just to kind of round out our gameplay. Just so we're not playing World War II all the time. Again, thank you guys for your time. Leave a
Yeah.
like, leave a comment in the section below. Help us with the algorithm. Share this with your friends. Share it with your game groups. Let them know there's somebody else on YouTube talking about our favorite hobby, maybe from a bit different perspective. Just a couple of guys that like to play the games and have day jobs. So there you go. Thank you all for your time, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, everybody, take care.